Hey everybody. I just wanted to do a little update or check in. Not actually part of the video series, but I know I've been, here and there lately. Um, I've spent the last few days like really into deep dive writing. I'm almost done. I've got one little section left where I want to add some personal testimony to the book I'm writing. And then after that, it's just going back through, polishing it up. Then I'm going to hand it over to some people that I have for proofreaders. Then once they give me the thumbs up, I'm going to go ahead and release it. I'm going to offer it freely. It's going to be through Google Docs. Um, things like that. I don't think, don't get me wrong, I could use the money, but I don't think that's the point of it. I've had this on my mind for years. I started this project years ago, and through several distractions, which I'll get to in a moment, um, it took me forever. And then I finally, found my grit and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to get this done. So I did. When I started, there was still so much left to do to it. And now, like I said, I'm this close to being finished. And I was reflecting, yesterday was Thanksgiving. Had a great day spent with family, wonderful time. And I've been reflecting on just how different my life is from 6 months ago. And as much as, things went bad in June, I'm thankful for it. And I wrote that in a post yesterday on Facebook about Thanksgiving. Sometimes it's the trials. You had to be thankful for the trials because they're what shape you. And if I hadn't gone through what I went through, I probably wouldn't have even picked up this project back up, let alone finished it. And now I did. I've really impressed myself in the last couple of days with how much I've just focused on it. I've tried to do less doom scrolling. Of course, it helps because ads are getting worse and worse, even on Facebook. You can't watch a 3 minute ad without, or I mean, a 3 minute video without an ad. And sometimes the ads are longer than the videos you're trying to watch. Some aren't even the full 3 minutes, and it's crazy. But that helps. Again, signs from God to say, hey, quit wasting your attention there and put it over here. I've had some nights where I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do some writing. Just, I wake up. Why waste the time? But again, if I had still been in the situation I was in, then I wouldn't be where I am now. Not only am I almost finished writing an important book, or I think it's going to be important. I mean, I have this sense of urgency, not that I'm running out of time, but that somebody needs the message that I have to share. So not only do I have that, but I'm also, getting more involved in the church, and we're trying to fast track me so I can become a lay speaker, which is a nice compromise. It's not actually church leadership, but it does allow me to utilize my skills, as a speaker. I just got to refine them to where I can get it down to like a 10, 15-minute message, which I say I've been practicing with these videos, but let's be real, not really, because if I was, I'd shrank everything down by now. But that's going to be my next focus. Once the book is done and distributed, I'm going to focus more on getting my speaking skills. Because again, I was given, these gifts for a reason. I have this clear voice to speak, and I have this sharp mind that likes to look into things deeper. And it's for a reason. And again, that is my testimony. And I've said it on here several times. Look at my life months ago. It was falling apart. I was unhappy. You know, I didn't feel like I was going anywhere. I wasn't getting anything accomplished. And even though nothing in my circumstances have changed, well, some of my circumstances, I have less people in my life. I cut ties with a lot of friends, a relationship, you know, anything that wasn't helping me grow, I let go of. And as much as it hurt at the time to let some things go, you know, hindsight, looking back, I'm absolutely glad I would not change a thing. Actually, I would have done it sooner, honestly. Knowing how the outcome turned out, and where I'm at now, I would have done it sooner, you know, if I could go back and do that. But I can't, so it is what it is. But yeah, I'm hoping to release that publicly before Christmas. Again, there's not much left for writing-wise. There's only like a small section where I want to add some of my personal testimony to it. And I need to go through and polish it up, because one of the premises is that I use scripture from different Bibles so people can compare how the scripture reads. Well, to make things go faster, I copied, you know, all the scripture that I typed up was from one Bible, so I wasn't flipping back and forth. So now I have to go back and do that, because again, that was part of the point of doing it. Only part of, though. But I still want it to be fulfilled. I even went back, I added 90 questions, and they are not right or wrong answers based on the reading. They are all questions to spark reflection, to make people think about, you know, what we were studying. And that's what the book is. It's just one big deep dive study on a specific biblical principle. And it's geared towards, you know, people who don't even really read the Bible. It's going to be an interesting and unique piece. The people that have an awareness of it so far have all been, again, all positive feedback except for my rambling. That's the one thing I got to learn how to curb. But aside from that, all the feedback has been very positive. I haven't been out here in like 2 days. It's been very cold. Again, you know, since I gave up all my vices, the only time I really come out here now is to record these. Other than that, I keep it inside where it's warm. I focus on, you know, sit at my writing desk and have at it. But yeah, sometimes I miss the companionship that I had before. But then, you know, when I start to feel that way nostalgically, I stop myself and I make myself realize, like, it was all fake anyway. You know, again, hindsight, the way things ended with everything. And again, I'm not just talking about the relationship. I'm, you know, the romantic relationship. I'm talking about all the relationships, you know, the friends, even a couple family members, you know, over the years. You know, anybody that I've dropped in my past has been for good reason. And although at the time I may have been hurt or angry and expressed it that way, it's not out of anger that I drop them. It's out of self-preservation. It's, hey, if I continue my relationship with you, it's going to stunt my growth. And I can't have that. That's what it boils down to. You know, so please know, if you're one of those people I dropped, seriously, no ill will. I've let it go. You know, I have forgiveness for everybody. I stand by my decision. I do not need to be anchored. I have, you know, I've said it a few times now. I'm addicted to growth. And that's what I want for myself. I want to continue to grow and build. You know, I have opportunities coming up. I can do better for myself. And I'm really looking forward to it. Again, I have that excitement for life again. I haven't had that in years. And again, I say, that point, almost 6 months ago now. When I dropped everything, it was almost like a switch. All the depression, the social anxiety, all that just went away. Literally the week after I cut ties with everybody, I was back in church. And I haven't stopped since. Matter of fact, I'm going to go tomorrow and help decorate for Christmas. And that fellowship has definitely saved me in more ways than one. It's people that nourish me, that actually want to see me grow. They're people that aren't afraid to correct me when I start stepping out of line. And they're people that will encourage me like, hey, you should finish this. You should work on this. They do point out, you don't give yourself enough credit. You're pretty smart. You should speak up more. I'm getting the right kind of encouragement that I haven't had in so long that I almost forgot what it was. When I first started, I was very bashful. I didn't know how to take it. It still makes me a little bit uncomfortable, but that's my, personal views. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Yeah, after I finish recording this, I'm going to go in and get some rest, and then tomorrow, when I'm going to get up in the morning, do my usual routine, go up, help out at the church, and then when we're done with that, I'm going to come home, finish that last section worth of writing, unless I wake up in the middle of the night tonight, then I might finish it tonight. And then the rest of the weekend will be doing the polishing touches. I already talked to my mom. She's going to print me out a couple copies this week so I can distribute it to my proofreaders. And see if they have any notes or anything like that. Or they notice any errors I made. Because again, what I preach, you got to be correctable. Just because I know I have certain deep insights and I'm good at research, my Google foo is on point. It doesn't mean I'm infallible. I'm really looking forward to the classes that I'm going to have to take to be a lay speaker. I think that's going to propel me forward in a lot of ways, just by having that experience. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Day after Thanksgiving, we all have perpetual full belly syndrome. I crashed hard last night. But I woke up in the middle of the night and did some more writing. Again, that's God saying, hey, you're doing good. Keep it up. Or at least that's how I've been taking it. So, yeah. So like I said, I know I haven't been on here in a little bit. So I just wanted to check in and also, let people know what's coming up, what to look forward to. Because, I've learned not to announce things too early. Because I get a lot of barrier. And that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. You talk about the enemy, Satan, the devil, however you want to put it, is absolutely real. And will stop at nothing to try and stop certain things. I was in the middle of writing earlier today. And I went to go save the current draft, and it wouldn't let me because it said all my storage was full. I've never had that problem before. But all of a sudden, so I go through and I look, and it was, my phone saving stuff that I never cared for it to back up and save anyway. Different pictures and stuff. And that's the other thing, too. The other perk is if it had been a few months ago and I had to wipe that phone clean, I would have had second thoughts like, hey, I don't want to lose these pictures or those memories. And this time I didn't even blink. I just said, okay, delete all. Make the room. The writing is more important than the memories. And that's kind of a sign that I've grown away from that situation too. You know, sometimes I do still, obviously, I still think about it. I can't lie about that. You know, again, there's that nostalgia. But then again, when it shows up, I remind myself, like, why be stuck in the past that, again, none of it was real. Everything I'm missing was an illusion. That makes it easy. And then I focus on what I have going on now. My growth in my spiritual family. I have all my current friend circle are church people. It's really the only ones I really associate with anymore. And it's been fantastic for my personal growth. Not to say that I'm biased, like I'm not going to talk to somebody if they're not a churchgoer. You know, I still have family members that aren't, that I have a great, rapport with. That's not what I'm saying. It just, again, your circle matters. You know? The other thing was the other day my phone updated, and all of a sudden it wanted to say, give a warning that there was moisture in the charger after the update. And even though my phone, I'm very careful with my phone. I take very good care of it. So I know that's not the case, but and it still happens from time to time. The other day it was horrible. I couldn't plug in a charger at all. Now at least it'll charge it. But then when it gets around full, for whatever reason, that alarm will start going off again. And it is a literal alarm. So, but again, all just distractions, things to say to try and impede me from finishing. It's like, I feel like I'm being tested. Like, how bad do you really want to do this? What are you willing to let go of to make this happen? And again, just like with deleting the pictures and walking away from certain relationships, it's worth all of it. I finally feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose. And I know in doing so, that's only going to propel me more forward. So anyway, that's the update. That's what I wanted to let everybody know. I'm going to keep working on things, and hopefully I'll be releasing that soon. As usual, take care of yourselves. Try and help take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next one.